Welcome to the Manders Mindset Podcast. Here you'll find both monologue and interviews of entrepreneurs, coaches, healers, and a variety of other people, where your host Amanda Russo will discuss her own mindset and perspective and her guest mindset and perspective on the world around us. Manders and her guests will help explain to you how shifting your mindset will shift your life.
Welcome to Amanda's Mindset. I'm your host, Amanda Russo, and I am here today with an amazing guest. She is such a resilient woman, and I am here today with Michelle Wells. She is a nutrition and wellness coach who works with menopausal women to transform their hormone health and well-being. And I am here with Michelle today. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So I'd love to backtrack if we could get into your upbringing, go down memory lane a little bit, your family dynamic, where you grew up, and the makeup of your family, however deep you want to go with that.
Wow, gosh, that's a question and a half. Right, so I didn't have a conventional textbook childhood of married 2.4 children and a nice happy home. I grew up in a little village, start off with, and my dad was an alcoholic, an abusive alcoholic. And that kind of kicks in from sort of like around the age of, say, 8. And it was tough. It was tough. My mum became a single mum. I had a brother, and my mum wasn't one of those women that you would really look up to. She obviously got married and think that, that was it. So from sort of like the age of 12, it became more of that I was parenting my mother. She was rubbish with money, so we had no food. It was quite a tough time where I learned from, I can remember one memory where we had literally no food at all. And I was like, I'm never coming back to this life. And I think that was probably the most pivotal time that I can remember, because I was like, from then on, I was like, I'm not going back. My parents, obviously born 1948, so just after the war. And so they had this philosophy of like the rationing had stopped. And so coupled with it being quite abusive, I'd also seen and was brought up with, let's stuff a load of food and then we'll punish ourselves because we're in this diet obsessed culture. So throughout my time, as well as I was striving to be anybody than the person I am now, and I'm accepted, I also developed disordered eating as a coping mechanism, probably more as a control mechanism to go move my way forward. And so I did a number of different job roles, and then obviously coming to sort of like today, I do work full-time in corporate, as well as a nutrition and life coach, and as well as a leader in Row Fitness, a podcaster. I am married. I have 2 boys, and they're both medically challenging and they're neurodiverse. And life to me, you don't stop learning. So anything I didn't understand, I would always go, I'll go and learn it. I'll learn it. Because there was part of me that said knowledge is power, but also you're always continually learning and you're continually evolving. And over time, I think I learned to give myself a bit of a break and actually go, I've achieved a lot and I'm not always going to get it right. And that I'm here to serve a purpose. And my purpose, after years of, everybody goes, why I'm on earth? After years and years of sort of like a lot of development myself, my personal transformation, I'm here to serve others. I'm here to help them. I took what am I good at? And you go, actually, I am good at food and nutrition. because I'm an athlete as well. My husband is also a triathlete, and you need energy as a woman because your life is so fast paced. So that's why I went more into nutritional side of things. But equally, when I'm here serving a purpose, you can't just focus on one thing and you have to be holistic. And that's where I started to branch a bit more out with life coaching and finding different partners to work with to help not only transform myself, but to help, with practices that can help other people.
Okay. Wow. Now, your childhood, you said your mom became a single mom. Around what age was that?
I was 9.
That's when he left.
That's when kind of like we didn't have an option that my father had to go because he was very, very abusive. So there was me and my brother, and didn't really know where things are coming from. And I think unfortunate thing is now my father died when I was 13 on a park bench of hypothermia. My brother became what was known as a dry alcoholic and then an alcoholic, and he died 12 years ago. And then just recently, my mother died earlier on this year. So when you go, where am I now? You go, wow, I am the last one standing. And what's going to be my legacy is nothing where I wanted their legacy, anything like it.
That must have been tough, though. Oh, gosh. And now you say your brother became an alcoholic. So how do you think you didn't go down that road and went down almost the opposite road, health-wise?
It depends on which way you look at it. So statistically, and a lot of my wider family, say aunts, uncles and cousins, would expect that statistically, if you're a child of an alcoholic, you will end up the same. And I was like, I'm never going to be a statistic. I'm always going to be that little one that doesn't conform, okay? And I always was not the child that should be seen, not heard. If I had an opinion, I would definitely share it. And I suppose, though, everybody in life has their challenges and their demons. And I didn't become an alcoholic, but certainly having a disordered eating, is really challenging as well. And managing that and learning that. So, yes, I've made myself quite successful, but it hasn't come easy.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. Now, when you say disordered eating, what type of disordered eating was it, if you don't mind me asking?
No, that's absolutely fine. To start off with, how it started was obviously I had to fund most things myself, and I worked in a leisure centre that used to do sort of like gigs and festivals, and so I was out large in it. I had the beers, I had the curries, and I became quite fat, and I got bullied. For being fat and taking the mickey out of, and I was like, okay. So I started off, the laxatives, not eating, anorexia, and then it was like I tried every single diet going. Some of them were really gross, I have to say. And then that's not working either. So I started to go more into, right, let's see what does work. But it then became an obsessional of, if I wasn't in control, because I needed to be in control of something to know and have that worth. So I would plan everything. I would make sure it was cooked, coupled with that, food allergies. If we're going to a friend's house, I would absolutely freak out because I didn't know what was going in. Restaurants, I would 100% go and look at the menu to find out what I was doing. I would be tracking it. So I went from being fat to actually being thin, got into my exercise. That was it. But equally, I got bullied for being too thin as well. So I just sat there and you're like, can't win, can you? I was like, oh my gosh. So it was interesting, but it was my control. It was the only thing that I knew that I was good at. So when you hit rock bottom, which has been a couple of times, you do become more resilient, but then your default is let's go to something that you can control and that you're good at. And that's what I became. Now, taking that forward now, I'm recovering, but it still is challenging at times. And certainly with my fast-paced lifestyle and with my son, he's got pyrol disorder. He has to have a special diet. Certainly the menopause, when it hit me, again, I was like, oh my gosh, go and learn about that. And my husband and I being athletes, apparently we're athletes. When you do the definition, I'm just like, no, I'm a working mum that likes running. You have to think about your energy levels, and that's where it is. So there is an element of that planning still, but equally learning to have the cake and eat it. And certainly, it's the 80-20 rule. I am way too busy now between Monday and Thursday to go out partying or eat loads of cake or drink wine each night. Way too busy. But come Friday, Saturday and Sunday, yeah, I do like a glass of wine. I do like going for coffee, and I do like having a cake.
I gotcha. I think the 80-20 rule is key. And I think it's important to recognize that you mentioned it being about control. I think a lot of people overlook that and often assume it's only weight-wise or appearance-wise, which a lot of times it is, but it's not only that. There's often something else in your life that you feel you can't control, so now you're going to control this. Because I was the same way. I developed an eating disorder in high school, and I didn't consider it one because I would only eat fruit. I just started only eating fruit. I didn't eat meat at the time, so it was kind of easy for me to just brush it off. I'm now not eating like what I considered bad carbs, and I ate honeydew melon for like 6 months, and then I couldn't function. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but I had this sense of control, and it was almost a reward for me at the end of the day when, I don't know, can you relate to that?
Yeah.
You achieved either not eating or only eating the honeydew melon, and I didn't feel like I was going to faint by the end of the day, and I functioned.
It's achieving that goal. And that's where the mindset shift is, because a lot of us, I found the reason why I did it is because you didn't have a good relationship with yourself. And that's the key. And unfortunately, that's majority of the people that I meet and I coach, is that they do not have a relationship with themselves. And I then value that to go, well, actually, your body is an amazing machine, an absolute amazing machine, and it talks to you continually. And so I went away and learned about that. And then I learned about what I needed to do so it could function for me. And I became, I suppose, not obsessed, but you become more of a dance partner with your own body. But that takes an awful long time to do, because we live in a fast culture. Everywhere you look, there's some sort of supermodel, or you take this pill or that supplement or this supplement, and you will have the most amazing life. And yeah, I've been there. I've been in there, done it. Spent thousands. It still doesn't buy you the happiness that you need.
Yeah. I like how you mentioned a dance partner with your body. I like that analogy. But no, I think it's so true. Our body gives us signals, whether it's what food our body likes and is nourished well with. Things as simple as that, to sleep, to the body will tell you stuff. If you pay attention, it will tell you, there will be signs. Even when I was eating food, I had gotten signs that I was not nourished enough, not enough energy, very fatigued. I was losing weight, but I felt like I didn't have the strength to do even not physical things, but even mental things. And that was something that I was like, what is this? Why is my brain struggling to function? And then it was like, oh, okay. Our body will show us and tell us stuff if we pay attention.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how did you slowly transition away from the disordered eating. Thank you for listening so far. Every Monday, you can start your week with our Monday mindset shift, and every Friday, you'll end your week with For Your Mind Fridays. Stay tuned for more ways to elevate your mindset.
I don't think you ever really transition away from it. You become more aware. And I think first for me was obviously after having children and bearing in mind coming from my, not really having any sort of female leaders that I would want to follow, I was just like, I just don't want to be a fat mum. Okay. So I just, it was like, no, don't want to be a fat mum. And then, but having a child, my first child, Harry, he was born premature, 3.7 pounds, went into an incubator for 8 days, emergency C-section, and he had a heart murmur, a tongue tie, and was lactose intolerant. And so you do go into a bit of an autopilot. And that started because equally I was like, oh, I don't want my children to be, so conscious about what they're eating. They've got enough on their plate. And then with my second son, he has to be on a specific low sugar diet because of the pyrol disorder. And then my go out was, okay, so you don't want to be a fat mom. You want to be one of these level-headed people. So what's the thing that you can do? And I used to start walking everywhere. And then I started running. And that's how I got more into the fitness side of things. But to do that and work full-time and be a mum, you're going to have to fuel your body. And now it's just, with the work that I've been doing on myself, becoming a life coach, it's listening to other inspirational people, other people that have been through that journey, that you really connect and you go, wow, you get it. And you will always fall off the bandwagon. Something will happen, some challenge out of life, and you'll go back to your default. And then you go, actually, no, okay, you're better than that. So come back again. And it's just been this constant sort of like, up, down, up, down, up, down. But what's your main goal at the end of it? And I go, my main goal at the end of it is I want to live to 100. I want to travel the world. I want to make sure that I'm successful, I can retire early, that I've done all the life lessons, that I've served so many people and helped them on their journey. My kids are proud of me. They're pretty level-headed. However, hormonal years, okay, is absolutely hell at the moment. So, they eat you out of house and home. So I kind of go, that's where I want to be, is that when it comes to my time up, that I go, I've used myself, I've achieved my goals, I've transformed, and I've helped millions of other people. And in order to do that, I have to help myself. And in order to do that, you have to fuel yourself properly.
It's so true. Not fueling yourself properly can affect so much. It's still mind-blowing to me, honestly, just how much it really affects. Like, I can notice a difference in every part of me, like from physically, mentally, emotionally, if my eating's off, if I haven't eaten, if I'm hungry, if I know I should be eating a meal right around now, it's been a while, like my body can tell. Like even this morning, I ate breakfast later than I normally do, and my body was like, okay, I could tell. Mm-hmm. And even my brain was like, come on, like we've got to eat. But now I'm curious, when did you first get into nutrition coaching?
Gosh, well, trying to think. When I started to first dabble into it, and nutrition coaching is, I run with my local running club, or a couple of them, and I run. So first of all, with nutrition, it was more about, just being able to fuel my husband because he started doing the running, right? So, okay, great, fantastic. Equally working full time with 2 kids, it's like, okay, we're going to have to start planning the meals because whoever gets in first needs to start cooking, right? And the benefit of actually doing that is, one, that you save money, you reduce your waste, and equally you can start working out if your fueling is actually serving you out throughout the day, or do you have a dip? And certainly I train in the morning. He's an evening person. So it's like, okay, what's your training session? And then let's work out what your fueling should be first thing in the morning to you're going to train. And the last thing you want to do is go and have a really big meal. And then he was starting to get into triathlons and we were starting to run races. And it was very much like, you've got to work out what your fueling is. So for us, if you're doing an event on Sunday, and he's just done one today, actually, so we can't have pasta the night before. Okay, so your pasta's on Friday with some oily fish, right? The following day, the day before, is certainly high protein and some carbs, but not hefty carbs. And then you look at your refuel. Okay, so you're looking at your fueling throughout the event and then the refuel. Okay, and I mean, I've done a number of events. One of mine was Amsterdam Marathon, and that was quite epic. And one thing I found is that first thing you do is you go across the line, you down your sort of protein carb drink. And then after that, it's like, oh, geez, don't ask me to eat anything for an hour or two. So you pick a salad and that, but then you are phenomenally hungry. Okay. And you need to replenish what you've lost. And so then there is like the refuel. And so we started to sort of like get into it then. And I was like, okay, this works. And then also it's when you're doing an event, what's your fueling during the event? So my first marathon was a trail marathon and I had homemade energy balls and a hydration drink. My second marathon was Amsterdam and it was like, okay, my coach said to me, you need to try doing gels. And again, I had to work out my body composition. I was trying to match my husband because we were doing the event at the same time, which was very interesting having 2 children because one of us would train in one day and one would train in the other day. You have to kind of like go and being the mum, and I'm not being stereotypical. I do not have the luxury to go and bat out all my energy and then just go, I'm laying on the couch for the rest of the afternoon because actually that doesn't work because I still need to do the school lunches. I still need to iron. I still need to get myself to work. So you've got to kind of go, right, what's your fueling strategy whilst you're there? So I then did gels and gels is a whole different conversation we can have with you. And then my marathon that I've just done was a trail where it was, again, doing trail running is different from road running. So we eat real food. But in between all of that, there was a lot of mainly women actually in my club that would start falling over when they were training. And I'd be like, oh, let's look at your energy. Or they're just not fueling enough. Or they hadn't really thought about that even after you're doing a rep session on our, one of our Tuesday evenings. What are they having? Because you do need to refuel. And so a couple of them came and said, oh, would you mind just reviewing what I'm eating? I was like, well, yeah, of course I will do. And that's how I really got into it. And then the big thing for me, which is why I then went for menopause, is it literally was overnight for me. And I was like, oh my God, I have not got time for this. Okay. So I hadn't really sort of like known about perimenopause, and that happens for 10 years, up to 10 years before you get into the menopause. And it wasn't until I kind of like had this, it was a hot flush, but I felt like I was like hungover and really drunk. And I was like, I haven't even touched a sip of wine yet. It's a Saturday night. And my kids are looking at me going, Mum, get a grip. And I'm like, this is really not helpful. And then I'm at work and I was emotional. I was just tired. And I just was like, I need to just take some time out. And that's when you go, I'm an athlete, I'm a working mum, and now I went to the doctor and I said, what's going on? Blood test, you're in the menopause. Great, thanks for that. And actually, by then doing that, what I've done is you go, it is such an understated or spoken about area. And what you don't realize is that actually you've got to eat some carbs because your body needs it. That's part of the cycle. So you do get belly fat. And the reason you get belly fat is because you lose the lean muscle mass. You need more protein because you need the lean muscle mass, for all of these different symptoms. And nobody knew about it. Nobody understands it. And then coupled that, actually, I'm an athlete. I want to go and do another ultra next year. I've done one. I want to do another one. And you've got to look at your energy levels and holding it all together and working with what symptoms or what your body is going through at that particular time. I mean, I can remember what I used to do in my 20s. I certainly can't do now. But your body changes every single day as you move through life. And that's where I think I got into it, because you're going to have to start understanding it. But it coupled with a lot of people that I see, they've got their own life challenges and they don't have a great relationship with themselves. They haven't got time to do this. So what I do is I kind of go, okay, let's look at you holistically. Okay. And just do the one baby step that suits your lifestyle.
I like that. The one baby step that suits your lifestyle. Okay. And, I think it's very evident that you even mentioned like a lot of the women weren't eating enough. Because, even I'm dealing with the eating disorder a lot less, but I have noticed with myself and all my female friends, us as women as a whole, do not eat enough or do not realize how much food we actually need. And I found that out myself, and I was not even purposefully like not eating, and I think a lot of women don't realize that. I think it's definitely missed.
Yeah, and a lot of people will look at me, but bearing in mind I am an athlete, okay, and then go, you don't eat enough. And I'm like, have you seen the amount that I'm eating? And then they're like, oh my God, how the heck do you eat all of that? And actually, after years of dieting and now know what I now know, is it doesn't work, because what happens is your body goes into a calorie deficit. It signals to your body that you're going in for a famine, goes, oh, I'll just store all of those calories and that fat, okay, because you're going to starve me for I don't know how long, we're famine for, and therefore it counteracts against you. Now, what we do know is it's not just about weight, but your brain needs different food, okay? Your kidneys, your liver, your gut needs different food in order for you to actually function. And this is where I then flipped the switch and said, okay, what foods do I need to serve me, to serve my bodily processes so I don't get cardiovascular disease? You can turn off or influence some of the cancer genetics that may be within you for family. I mean, until recently, my mother died of a heart attack, but her mum and all of her mum's sisters died of cancer, breast cancer. So I just automatically seen that, I might die of breast cancer and my mother would die of breast cancer. And actually, just by doing some lifestyle changes and using food, you can actually die down that sort of like, what would you call it? Not genetic, but that DNA. So you're not susceptible to it anymore. So it depends on what your goal is. And when I say one baby step, because if you look at it all from top to bottom, okay, you would just get anxiety and overwhelm. Okay, you'll absolutely freak out. And food is something that should be celebrated, and it can be used as a connection. So certainly for us, it comes Friday night is our family night. Okay, so it could be homemade pizza, it could be enchiladas, we all do a bit of the cooking, and it's really about, right, what's your wins this week? You know, how's school gone? What didn't go quite so well? What did we learn about? And it's really making it as a connection and a celebration to your family, your relationships, your friends, your partner, and then a celebration to you as a person, for your body to go in, wow, okay, I've served you well this week. You know, you've served me back because I've got rewarded because I managed to, as well as get up really early in the morning and do a training run, go to work, and I managed to get to the school production on time. Yeah, it depends on what you need. So you just go, okay, let's just go, what is your main goal now? Is that actually I just want to feel less lethargic? Great, okay, let's have a look at what you're eating. Do you realize that actually by some food awareness through just writing what you're eating and your energy levels, you might find out that you're dependent on sugar? Or you might go, well, actually, you're not eating enough during the day to sustain your energy levels, so you have a tweak of this. And then that's when we go into more of the self-care after that to build up on what people eat, because food's everywhere.
That's so true. It really is. It's everywhere, you know, in whether it's a function, whether it's an event, whether it's a get-together, like so many places you go, even if somebody's home, like there's food involved in almost all events that we're going to, you know? And I love that you do Friday nights, those connection, like celebrations, what's working, what's not. That's adorable. I love that. No, I really do. I really do. But I really like also how you mentioned, like, what is the main goal right now? Because we all have so many goals of all the things we want to do, even health-wise, like, even if it's just not, if it's not weight, even if you want to run faster, even if you want to lift heavier weights, like we all have so many different goals, but like what's the main one? What's the one baby step you want to take? I try to emphasize that with like everything, because like you can't do everything at once. Even when I first started off my weight loss journey, I didn't change my food at all. I didn't start eating differently after the eating disorder. I didn't add in protein. I didn't change anything. I just started working out. I had a trainer who was like, you can't not change your eating, blah, blah, blah. I was like, listen, this is a whole different lifestyle for me. I can't change everything. Well, I can, but I don't think it's going to be successful. And I still lost 30 pounds in 3 months, and I didn't do a single thing to my nutrition. I added in more water, but I didn't change food because I was like, I can't do it all because I'm going to get overwhelmed. It might work for a little bit, but then a week's going to pass and I'm going to be like, this is too much. And then I'm just going to fall off completely, you know? So I love how you mentioned that. I think that's so key.
Absolutely. It's, as you say, I don't do New Year's resolutions. Okay. Because how many people say, I'm going to lose 20 pounds? Okay. Or they've got a big event coming up and they go, right, I'm going to buy a dress that's a size, 2 sizes too small. And then they get really disheartened and you go, hang on a minute. Okay. That's just like a huge elephant. I just go, you can't eat a whole elephant. So let's start off with, okay, where you want to be. Okay. So you want to lose some weight and get toned up. Okay, great. Fantastic. What are you currently eating? Okay. Have you thought about just changing this bit today? Let's see how that works. Okay. Come back in a week's time. We'll have another chat. Did that work? Yeah, it did. So you're okay. What's the next thing? And by just doing it in baby steps, but incorporating that in, you think it's 30 days to make a habit. So just focusing on that one small thing and going, I did it this week. Yeah, I've done it. I mean, I used to make my laugh even now, actually. My eldest is 13 and I used to get to Friday and go, well, I've kept you alive. So that's good. There's no textbook for parenting, okay, or what's going to work for one child doesn't work for another one. So you just go, when you're still both alive. Okay, great. That's a big up for me. Thank you very much. Okay, I may have stuffed up on other things, but I've managed to keep you alive. And you just go, what are your wins? because there's always wins. Every day we will have one win.
I love that. What are your wins? Every day you will have. That's so true, though. Even if it's something small, every day there will be a win. I love that. I love that. So I want to transition a tad bit, but you mentioned it a little bit, and I saw on your Facebook you're training for an Ironman. I would love to delve into that. One of my best friends is a triathlon running athlete, and he's training for an Ironman as well right now. So I think that's so fascinating. I'd love to hear more about that.
It's not me that's doing the Ironman, so it's my husband. So each year, what we did was when we had children, okay, it was like we're not giving up our lives and our goals to be the be-all, end-all of children, okay? So unfortunately...
Good for you.
Yeah, my two kids have been and seen their dad go off doing a swim, bike or run, and they go, which one's dad? And they're all wearing a black wetsuit with a black cap, and I go, pick one and just pretend. Anyway. So this year he's doing a full Ironman, and that's roughly, I think, 2 mile swim, a mile then to transition. He's got to do 112 miles on a bike, and off the back of that, he then has to go and run a marathon, which is 26.2 miles. Please don't ever forget the 0.2, okay, which I know in the States you go in kilometers, but that's fine. And it's one of the renowned worldwide series, so it's quite, costly to enter. In between all of this, it means that you have to find the accommodation beforehand. The kids are going to do the kiddie race, and then he will go and do it. And then it's like, oh, yes, my kids run. So we have park runs in the UK, which is a 5K. And you have junior park runs, but I never, ever got my kids to a junior park run because I went, clearly you can run 5K, so let's just go off. And they run, and maximum they've done is 5 miles. Because obviously when you come with children, you have to bear in mind what age and their growth and everything else. Yeah, so when you do triathlons, okay, you have to think about, your fueling beforehand. So that's the Friday, the Saturday, and the Sunday. But equally, it's your breakfast. Okay, so for my husband, he has to, I can go and run a marathon for you, okay, and I can eat what I class as a race breakfast about an hour and a half before the event. He can't do that, okay? He has to be at least 2 to 3 hours beforehand. So when you're talking about triathlons, okay, you've got to think about, you've got to have enough fuel in to get you through that first part because you can't eat anything in the lake. And then you've got to fuel on the bike. That's the only opportunity you will really have is when you're on the bike, is to fuel. And then after that is, okay, how are you going to get around your running? Are you going to use gels? Are you going to use something else?
How do you decide whether you're going to use gels or something else?
Well, it's interesting because everything you have to trial beforehand. This is why when we talk about training plans, this is like key for us, okay? And it's also, you've got to think about your fueling, the temperature on the day, lots of things. And so when you do gels, we use a vegan brand because the number of other athletes that I have run with that have the caffeine gels and then ended up with over caffeinating themselves and in hospital is quite scary. Okay. Equally with gels, though they're high in carbs, you need to get them into your bloodstream really, really quickly. So what you need to do is take them with water. Now, if you're a runner that doesn't run with water, then you're not going to get that full impact that quickly. But equally, if you're using energy balls, because I do homemade energy balls as well, they're going to take their time. So you really have to think about the dynamics. What's going to work for you? What stations have you got? Jelly babies are quite a good one. Okay, it's a real sugar high to get you through that energy barrier when you're running. But you've got to really think about what's the before, during, the after. So for us, obviously for me, I have half a grapefruit and an orange. I have that standard, but it's a bowl of porridge. Okay, then I have a slice of toast with marmalade on it. Okay, I do like my marmalade. And then I have a banana. and I can go and that will start. But then you have to work out how long that's going to last you, which is different per event that you do, plus your body composition. So for me, I would probably go, I would fuel, if it's just a normal road race, like marathon, 3, 6, 12 and 18. Okay. But there are other people that go, my body composition needs fueling every 3 miles, or every 45 minutes. And that's the type of thing you need to start working out, and the opportunity of what you've got. When it comes to an Ironman, you go race breakfast because you need to get through the swim. You go straight into transition. Then it's the hydration on the bike, but perhaps then you're looking at, okay, I can stuff an energy ball in or a protein bar. If you chop it up really small, I can take that on the bike and I can carry on taking. So I've got some real food. And then you can come straight off of your bike and go, actually, I just want to get the rest of it done. Okay, so I'm just going to continually run. I have not got time to slow down that running pace to actually stuff myself with another energy ball. So you take the gel, okay, because you can rip that off. You're taking it. Take it over 2 or 3 minutes and you're drinking the water at the same time. I would always wear a hydration pack. Some people don't. So that if you don't, then work out where your water stations are. And then you're working out whether or not you can do the gels.
That's so cool. How long ago did you and your husband get into these?
Well, he started doing them, 13 years ago?
Wow.
Yeah. So he's the one that does it. I'm probably the only household, unless you are married to another triathlete, that has like 6 bikes in their garage and there's only 4 of you. And I'm going on holiday and I'd take it 5. Why not? It's quite costly. I equally, though I'm quite happy. Yesterday for us in the UK, I wanted to understand exactly what my husband would be going through so that I could understand how I need to fuel him. And also it's about his mindset. So first of all, he was getting so stressed because he wanted to do it in a particular time. And I was like, hang on a minute, this is your one and only stab at this. Do you want to go, I'm going to kill myself to get a particular time? Or do you want to actually do your training, give it your best shot, and come over the line where I'm there waiting for you? You give us a kiss and a cuddle to your kids, and I can share a bottle of champagne with you later on that day. So what mindset do you want to be? Okay. And he was like, oh, okay, well, actually, I want to enjoy it. Great, fantastic. Because I did a very hilly marathon a few weeks ago and I was like, okay, my goal is actually to enjoy this one because I have done PBs and I'm like, yeah. And I've manifested when I did Amsterdam, my whole manifestation was I'm going to do it in 3 hours, 47 minutes and 30 odd seconds or whatever. And my mantra was, I basically wrote this target down in my journal every day. I visualized me coming across that line. I knew what for it. I didn't even see a thing on Amsterdam when I was running around it because all I was concentrating on is not tripping up because there were so many people doing it. But this mantra just kept on going through it. And I got exactly the time that I want. So you have to work out your mindset as well. And so that sort of like then brings a different dynamic with how you fuel and how you actually approach doing a particular goal, particularly as meaty as that. And that can be applied to any goal, I have to say, in life.
That's really true. I love how you asked him that. Like, what's your mindset for this? Wow. It's so true. Now, I've never done like that intense of a race, but I've done quite a few 5Ks. And there's this one 5K I do every single year that goes over this bridge that normally like pedestrians aren't allowed to walk over. It's got these beautiful water views. I do it every year. Well, there was one year I was like, I want some pictures of this view because normally it's literally illegal. There's even signs like you can't walk over the bridge. And I said to myself, you know what? When I find nice views this year, I'm going to slow down my pace and I'm going to take some pictures. And that was 2 years ago. And I'm still glad that I did. Like, what's your goal for this one specific experience of it? Even if you do it again, but this time, what's the goal for it? I love that. No, I think that's great. And that is so cool. They have kiddie races. I do not think the United States does that. Like, I think that's a great idea. That's even embracing and like showing them that identity at such a young age. Like, here, you guys can run as well, even if it's not the full Ironman. I think that's phenomenal.
I think it was important. Well, one, they're pretty stuffed because they've got 2 parents that are quite active, but equally the statistics for the mental health of teenagers and the suicide rate is rising rapidly. And that worries me because kids get bullied every day. My youngest, he's a very good rugby player, but the rest of the kids at his primary school, he's just about to go up to secondary school or high school. If you're over in the States, he'll have a better opportunity. They game. And yeah, he has a switch, but he prefers being outdoors and he prefers playing rugby. So he struggled to make connections with others. And that's really played on his mind, impacted his self-confidence. Equally, when you go through so many different emotions, and that's any time of life, actually, you've got to find that movement that works for you. Some people find yoga. I do really like yoga. Some people find it in swimming. I do really like swimming. I did yesterday water swim just to experience what it was like for my husband so I could know. Some people just like walking the dog, right? So you've got to find what works for you. And there are sometimes I just look at my children and I just go, you need to go for a run, okay? Because like literally I could breathe and they would just go, oh my God, I absolutely hate you, you've done that wrong. And you go, you've got so much pressure socially, academically, plus your own hormones, plus you're doing this internal battle. Go and release some of that energy, get some of that endorphins. And I just go, by them seeing us doing it and experiencing the benefit, plus also I have a sleep routine, I meditate, I do yoga, that actually I'm going, well, when you get to your 20s and your 30s and you feel so compressed in the life that we have, and I can only see it getting worse, that actually you will remember that that's what your mum did. And actually, let's just give it a try where they just look at me at the moment and think I'm completely loony. Hey-ho.
And no, I love that you mentioned to find the movement that works for you. Somebody I really look up to, her name's Rachel Hollis, but she says, move your body, change your mind. And that was one of the biggest things that stuck with me. I even have that hung up in my bedroom because like I was actually going through a pretty toxic relationship and unintentionally kind of discovered movement because I didn't want to be in the apartment. That's literally how it ended up. And it was so powerful for me mentally. Like, and I try to stress that even outside of like the physical benefits, your mind, even from just going from a walk, like if you go for a walk and tell me that your mind is not more clear, I don't believe it. It has to be, like it's just different, you're allowing the space, like you're letting the energy out. You're letting the energy move, even if it's not a fast movement, whether it's yoga, whether it's swimming, whatever it is.
So dancing. I love dancing. I love Latin. You can always go and learn a new skill. So you go, okay, I need to move. I like dancing, so let's just go and do it. But it depends on your confidence level. I can get on a dance floor, okay, and I'm just like, I'm with the music. I want my body to move. Other people are more self-conscious. So it's, okay, we'll start dancing around your house. Okay, if nothing else appeals to you, start just dancing around your house. Okay, and then see how you do. And people say to me, but I don't have time. And I'm like, what's the worst that's going to happen if you just took 5 minutes from not doing something to actually just doing a couple of star jumps? What's the worst that's going to happen? And people go, oh, I said, I'm not asking you to go down and get a gym membership, okay? And you have to go to 16 different classes a week, okay? Get out of bed 5 minutes earlier. That's all. Everybody can manage that.
I like that. 5 minutes of stair jumps. Okay. And they have no response back to that because everybody's got 5 minutes. Oh, I love that. Wow. And I think that's great, the way they have that whole setup, though, like with the races, and that you guys are really embodying such a healthy lifestyle for your kids, even outside of physically, even mentally, with the meditating, the sleep routine. I think that's amazing. I think that's phenomenal. And I love the family dinners. I think so many families aren't doing that nowadays. So I just really want you to know, I think that's amazing. And I still personally remember the family dinners I did not have. I will say that to you too.
And also, though, when we think about families and bearing in mind mine haven't been conventional and not there, I actually go, you don't have to think about when it comes to a family of you, your partner and kids. Okay, make it wider. Some of my closest friends are my family. And so, yeah, I do occasionally go, okay, let's go for a spa weekend. Okay, let's go out for dinner. Just me and my best friend, or a girlfriend. Just, you don't, when we talk about this on, I can relate it to a family. But actually, look around the people that really energize you and go, do you know something? I'm going to make time for them and connect with them. And I've got friends that are not into fitness, but we make time for one another. We celebrate in different ways. And you can always celebrate with the people that are around you. So don't just think, the connection with the family, connection with health. Find something that you really care about in all your friends, okay? Because you do. Some friends will stay with you for a period of time, others are a lifetime. But whatever time it is with that particular relationship, embrace it because you're going to learn from each other.
Oh, that is beautiful. Well, thank you. Oh my gosh, I love all of that. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I would love to touch upon quickly about your life coaching and how you got into that realm of coaching.
Now that makes me laugh, right? It was completely random, okay? And this is like the universe talking to me. So I'm bumbling along, I've got my job, I'm getting into nutrition. I've done, various different things. And after we had the pandemic, right? So the pandemic was brilliant in some respects, but my garage became like a mini gym. So I have a turbo on it, okay, a bike. I like to cross train because just running every day will just kill you, which is why I like doing the yoga and everything else. And so on a Wednesday is generally where I sit very early in the morning in my garage doing a bike session. And whilst I'm on there, because it can get very boring looking at your garage, okay, some people watch movies when they do this. I actually listen to podcasts. And it was Julie Riesler, and I found her very inspiring. I find Mel Robbins very inspiring. And she promoted her life coaching. And do not ask me why that one. I had seen so many emails, other podcasts about people in their life coaching, how it can transform you. And I just came off the bike, bearing in mind I had to get shower change, get the kids to school and everything else. And I was like, I'm so doing it. It just was an automatic, universal nudge. When you just go, okay, you're thinking about different options, and all of a sudden you just go, I'm going to do that. Don't ask me why. Don't ask me how I'm going to afford it. Don't know anything about this. No clue. But I'm going to do it. And so I signed up. And I've met the most inspirational, amazing people. I haven't ever met them in person because it was still online. Spiritual connections, and really learned about myself. And that's when I started more delving into the self-love for myself and what was my purpose. I think that was the pivotal point for me where I found out what my purpose is. And a lot of us are going what's our purpose? What's our purpose? And because I found out what my purpose was, that's why I then have become, okay, some people don't have the opportunity that I got, or the inkling, or are in the right place to do that. But what I can do is I can take what I've learned to help them try and find their purpose. And our purpose and our roles can change throughout our lifetime.
I love how you said that. They can change throughout our lifetime. I love that. But that's awesome. That's so cool. Wow. Well, thank you so much for speaking with me. Now, of course. Now, have you heard of a man named Jay Shetty?
Yes, like Jay Shetty, very much.
Me too. So he has a podcast called On Purpose, and he ends it with 2 segments, and I end mine with those 2 segments as well.
Okay.
So the first segment is the many sides to us, and there's 5 questions, and they need to be answered in 1 word each.
Okay.
Number 1, what is 1 word someone who was meeting you for the first time would use to describe you?
Kind-hearted. That's 2 words, but kind-hearted.
Number 2, what is 1 word someone who knows you extremely well would use to describe you?
Always giving to others.
Number 3, what is 1 word you'd use to describe yourself?
Resilient.
Number 4, what is 1 word that if someone didn't like you or agree with your mindset would use to describe you?
Not everybody's cup of tea.
What is 1 word that you're embodying right now?
Self-love.
Then the second segment is the final 5, and these can be answered in These can be answered in a sentence. Number 1, what is the best advice you've heard or received?
Oh, what's the best advice? Follow your heart.
Okay. Number 2, what is the worst advice you've heard or received?
Don't believe everything that people tell you.
What is something that you used to value that you no longer value?
Material things.
Number 4, if you could describe what you would want your legacy to be as if someone were reading it, what would you want it to say?
That I made a difference to thousands of people's lives just by giving them a tool set to lead a better, healthier life.
Beautiful. If you could create 1 law in the world that everyone had to follow, what would it be? And I want to know why.
Come from a place of love. Everybody is connected. Don't ever think that we're not connected. You could be a million miles away, but you're still connected because that's the way the universe works. And I suppose my parting bit of advice that I've learned from everything that's been thrown at me, kindness always wins. Never bully, never disrespect people, because kindness will always win and you always will be rewarded.
Well, that's beautiful. Thank you. Now, where can the listeners connect with you?
Right. I have my own podcast, which is the Menopausal Women's Show for Nutrition, Health and Wellness. And that, again, has a variety of stuff. So don't just think if you're male or female, okay, you need to be in the menopause. You don't. And the same principles apply. That's on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and on my YouTube channel. And then equally, if you would like to delve with me and discuss whether or not it's training and food requirements, head over to michellewells.co.uk, and that is my website.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And I will link all of that in the show notes so you guys can connect with Michelle directly. And before we close out, is there any final words that you wanted to leave the listeners with?
Oh, that's a good question. Always try each day to be 1% better than you were yesterday. And do that one baby step, because those baby steps will make sure you walk the miles that you want to achieve.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you so much for speaking with me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me on your show.
Of course. And thank you guys for tuning in. In case no one told you today, I'm proud of you. I'm rooting for you. And you got this. As always, if you enjoyed the show, I would really appreciate it if you would leave me a 5-star rating, leave a review, and share it with anyone you think would benefit from this. And don't forget, you are only one mindset shift away from shifting your life. Thanks, guys. Until next time.